පැවරුණු වගයි. ගම්මැත් රට නගන ජන පෞර.
Good afternoon and welcome to Lunchtime News. You're here with me, Sandro Satyajit. Before we get into news in detail, let's have a look at your headlines.
Court order issued restricting protest by trade unions. TU members prevented from entering several areas in Fort Colombo. Litro gas reduces the LP gas prices. Cabinet approval to pay basic salary of government employees contesting the LG election. Professor Sunil Aryaratne appointed Chancellor of the University of Visual and Performing Arts. New York City braces the historic Trump court appearance.
On to your news in detail now. Your top story, Litro Gas has announced that the price of a 12.5 kilogram LP gas cylinder will be reduced by 1,005 rupees with effect from midnight today. Now the new price of a 12.5 kilogram LP gas cylinder will be 3,728 rupees.
ප්‍රධාන සිලින්ඩරය වෙන 12.5 ලිට්‍ර ගෑස් සිලින්ඩරය රුපියල් 1,005කින්
The 12.5 kilogram LP gas cylinder will be reduced by 1,005 rupees. In addition, the 5 kilogram LP gas cylinder will be reduced by 402 rupees. A 2.3 kilogram LP gas cylinder will be reduced by 183 rupees. The new prices are as follows. A 12.5 kilogram LP gas cylinder is currently priced at 4,743 rupees and it will be reduced to 3,728 rupees. The 5 kilogram LP gas cylinder, which was priced at 1,904 rupees, will be reduced to 1,502 rupees. The 2.3 kilogram LP gas cylinder, which was priced at 883 rupees, will be reduced to 700 rupees. This is in effect from midnight on Tuesday. The drop in global gas prices, the appreciation of the rupee and the price formula attributed to the price revision.
ලිට්‍ර ගෑස් ආයතනය විසින් මුදල් අමාත්‍යාංශයේ අනුමැතියන්ට යටත්ව අඳුන්ලා දුන්න මිල සූත්‍රය. මේ මිල සූත්‍රයට දුන්න වටිනාකම හරහා තමයි අද මේ ප්‍රතිලාභ අපිට පාරිභෝගික ජනතාවට ලබා දෙන්න පුළුවන් වෙලා තියෙන්නේ.
Now, the movement to protect consumer rights handed over a memorandum to the Ministry of Power and Energy demanding that the unjust electricity tariff hike be reversed.
At this
time, the price of diesel has been reduced. The electricity generated from that diesel is added to the main grid. Therefore, the electricity bill can be reduced. That is the first thing. The rupee has stabilized. Then give that advantage to our electricity customer. The third is what we have heard, that the price of coal is also going down. Then when we take these three things, we can reduce the electricity tariff. We have come to inform the minister about it. The main thing is that people today have no way to pay their bills. People spend on tariffs more than they pay for food and other requirements. So we presented the message in writing, asking to provide that relief for the people. So we expect a reduction in the electricity bill in the future. Now, the Colombo Additional Magistrate Thilina Gamage has issued an order preventing 4 trade union representatives from entering areas where the President's House, President's Office, Finance Ministry are located at today and at the Golf Face Green as well. Now, the order is in effect until 5 p.m. today.
The Colombo Additional Magistrate issued the order on Wasantha Samarasinghe, Joint Chairman of the Joint People's Movement, Udeni Disanayaka, Joint Chairman of the Joint People's Movement, Bandula Saman Kumara, Chairman of the CPC Branch of Commerce, Industries and Services Progressive Employees Union, Ravi Kumudesh, Convener of Joint Council of Professions, Supplementary to Medicine, and other members who would be party to their group. The court order notes that from noon to 5 p.m. on Tuesday, the said individuals are not permitted to enter the areas where the President's House, President's Office, Finance Ministry are located at, and Golf Face Green along Olkat Mawatha, from the Fort Railway Station to the CTO Junction to the Ceramic Junction, NSA Roundabout to Lotus Road, York Street, Bank of Ceylon Mawata, Janathipati Mawata, Sir Baron Jayatilaka Mawata, Baladaksha Mawata, Chaitya Road, and from Golface Roundabout to NSA Roundabout. Sri Lanka Police said that the Fort Police OIC requested the court order the protesters not to obstruct the roads and not cause any inconvenience to the public and vehicles using the said roads.
Now, meanwhile, the Professionals Trade Union Collective will engage in a protest in Fort Colombo. Now, the protest will be taking place against several issues, including the new tax amendments, the Counter-Terrorism Act, and the suppression of the trade union representatives. Now, Newsfirst correspondents reported that a large number of police officers and riot police were stationed close to the Fort railway station.
The officers of the Northwest Regional Support Service Centre of the National Water Supply and Drainage Board launched a token strike this morning, withdrawing from customer service activities. The group is protesting against the government's new tax policy and several other issues. Newsfirst correspondents stated that as a result of the strike, disruptions were caused to the payment of water bills and payments for new connections at the Kurunegala branch. SLPP MP Nama Rajapaksha says that the trade unions cannot be allowed to operate as per the whims and fancies of a political party or group.
We are waiting to see what action will be taken against those who fought to increase their salary, knowing that the country's economy is on the brink of collapsing and turned the children into victims. There are people who are waiting without going for A-level paper marking until they win their struggle. But it's the future generation of this country that they have sacrificed. Then the law should be implemented against them in the same way. Trade unions cannot be allowed to function as per the will of a group or a political party. One decision should be common to all. In the past, a trade union leader of a certain political party attached to the ports authority said that we did a struggle and that the victory of that struggle was that 8 vessels that came to the port were turned away. An investigation must be conducted, and not only that, the law must be enforced against them immediately. If there is an economic crisis in the country, the solution to the economic crisis is to develop the country's economy. But if they are using their institutions to achieve their own political goals, a law should be implemented against them. Minister Manusha Kara says that the Ministry of Labour has decided to obtain the statements of assets and liabilities of trade union leaders. Government employees are bound by the institutional code. This clearly says that officers can be appointed to trade unions. But what has happened? They have worked in the trade union, the government has given them a vehicle, they have pumped fuel, but the job has not been done. The people should decide whether it is right or not to appoint people to the public service or semi-government institutions in this manner and to pay the same individuals for 20 to 30 years to work from home or at trade unions. The Secretary of the Ministry of Labour has decided to collect the statements of assets and liabilities of the members of all trade unions. On to other news now. Professor Sunil Aryaratne was appointed as the Chancellor of the University of Visual and Performing Arts by President Ranil Wickremesinghe today. Now, President Ranil Wickremesinghe has made this appointment with immediate effect for a 5-year tenure. Now, President Secretary Saman Ekanayake has forwarded the letter of appointment to Professor Sunil Aryaratne, confirming his appointment as the Chancellor of the University of Visual and Performing Arts. On to other news now. With the Sinhala and Tamil New Year celebrations nearing, the Gampula Urban Council has commenced a quality check of hotels and restaurants in the area. 15 public health inspectors have been deployed to conduct quality inspections across hotels, restaurants and other food and beverage related businesses in the Gampula town. It was reported that close to 2 million rupees worth of food unsuitable for consumption were discovered. Expired cheese, biscuits, pasta and other food that are not fit for public consumption were discovered upon searching several business premises. Newsfirst correspondent said that the Gampula Urban Council is expected to conduct these raids across 3 days from Monday. For years, the students at the Galputtegama school in Galkadavala, Anuradhapura received education amidst a plethora of issues. Today, Gammada took the initiative to address several of those issues. The Galputtegama school in Galkadavala, Anuradhapura is located in one of the most remote areas in the north central province. Yet the students who visit the school daily for academics are talented in many ways. However, their journey to obtain a proper education was hampered by a plethora of issues, mainly due to the absence of a proper computer science laboratory. From today, these students will be able to learn about IT and computers with a new IT laboratory that was handed over to them by Gammada. In addition, Gammada also provided the school with new sanitation facilities. These projects were made possible by Mr. and Mrs. Srilankanbeauty, who joined hands with Gammada. Now another leg of the Divisavya program to empower Sri Lanka's student population took place centering the Puttalam district.
The Divisavya program delivers school book and stationery items to Sri Lankan students across the country. This worthy initiative is carried out by LOLC Holdings and is supported by the Ministry of Education. Today's leg of the Divisavya program commenced from the Bandaragama Primary School in the Chilau Education Zone. Students from the Puttalam Senman Dalua Primary School were also provided with school books and stationery. Exercise books and stationery items are being distributed to school children in Puttalam district throughout today.
Now, Sri Lanka's President Ranil Wickremesinghe has sought India's help in establishing policy reforms, governance capacity building, digitalization and public service delivery. Now, this is according to the press statement released by India's Ministry of Personnel, Public Grievances and Pensions.
Indian delegation led by the Director General of the National Centre for Good Governance, Bharat Lal, met Sri Lanka's President on Saturday and discussed topics like policy reforms, good governance, digitalization, capacity building and training, institution building and assured public service delivery. Indian media reported that Sri Lanka is keen to lean the policy-driven governance model of India and the massive use of digital technology in the planning, execution and monitoring of various programs and projects. Indian media reported that this would aid Sri Lanka in strengthening its institutions and that the country is eager to learn and utilize India's successful governance model to achieve high economic growth.
Back on some political news, the State Minister, Provincial Councils and Local Government, Janaka Vakumbara, says that Cabinet approval to pay the basic salaries of the government workers who are candidates for the local government election has been submitted. The Cabinet decision says that the basic salaries due from the 9th of March to the 25th of April would be paid. There are plenty of government sector employees who are candidates for the local government election. They have not received wages for a few months now. I would like to know if the election is delayed, whether their wages will be paid. Will there be a mechanism to solve this? The Cabinet has given approval to pay their basic wages due from the 9th of March to the 25th of April. They will receive this before the 10th of this month. These government workers expected to manage their expenses until the 9th of March. We ask that full salaries of these government employees due from the 9th of March to be paid.
මූලික වැටුප ගෙවන්න කියලා එව්වේ මැත.
The National Election Commission had informed to pay the basic salaries. They had cited the constitution and said that these employees cannot be in the workforce legally. The previous parliamentary election was postponed not by the judiciary but because of COVID-19. It would be a 3-month delay for the election by the 21st. The NEC prompted us to pay the basic salaries.
ඉතින් මේ මැතිවරණ කොමිසම තමයි අපට නිර්දේශ කරේ මූලික වැටුප විතරක් ගෙවන්න. ඉතින් මැතිවරණ
The NEC requested that the election be held, yet the election never took place. If you are going to listen to what the NEC keeps telling you, then you might as well hold the election as well on the 9th of April.
අප්‍රේල් 9 වෙනිදාට ඡන්දෙ දියන්න.
The Supreme Court has determined that none of the provisions of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka bill are inconsistent with the constitution.
Announcement. I wish to make an announcement in respect of the bill titled Central Bank of Sri Lanka. The court has determined that none of the provisions in the bill are inconsistent with the constitution. Accordingly, the court has determined that the bill can be passed by a simple majority in Parliament, subject to the amendments which have been mentioned in the determination. I order that the full determination of the Supreme Court be published in the official proceedings of the Parliament today.
Opposition leader Sajid Premadasa drew attention to the activities of the Vice-Chancellor of the Ruhuna University in Parliament.
Sujiva Amarasena has been in the post of Vice-Chancellor at the Ruhuna University since 2019. Under his regime of discrimination towards students, academic and non-academic staff, they have all been severely affected. A detailed report by the Federation of University Teachers Associations pertaining to 5 different areas with 86 points of proof have been submitted to the Minister of Education. It is extremely wrong for the Vice-Chancellor of the university to act in a manner that infringes the democracy and the peaceful environment of learning that the university constitutes of. For instance, this Vice-Chancellor has prohibited the seating of a female and male student together. There are also limitations on social media and concerned modes of communication as well that have been imposed. He has also halted the wages of the month of March pertaining to 500 individuals in 6 different streams due to taking part in political struggles.
සම්බන්ධ වීම නිසා රුහුණු විශ්වවිද්‍යාලයේ පීඨ 6ක සේවය කරන ලබන 500 දෙනෙකුගේ පමණ මාර්තු මාස වැටුප් සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම නතර කරන්නට මොහු විසින් කටයුතු කරලා තිබෙනවා. උපකුලපතිතුමාගේ පාලනය පිළිබඳව විශ්වවිද්‍යාල ආචාර්ය සංගමයෙන්
A letter and a report prepared by the Federation of University Teachers Association alongside a report by the IUSF was received by me. This was forwarded to the University Grants Commission. Because at the end of the day, the President is the one who appoints a Vice-Chancellor of a university. Therefore, the relevant minister cannot take a decision regarding this. There is a mechanism to investigate in this regard. Our next step will be based on these observations. We now await those observations.
ඊළඟ පියවරට අපිට යන්න වෙන්නේ දැන් ඒ නිර්දේශන බලාපොරොත්තුෙන් ඉන්නවා.
On to news overseas now. The US space agency NASA has named the 4 astronauts who will take humanity back to the moon after a 50-year gap. Christina Koch will become the first woman astronaut ever assigned to a lunar mission, while Victor Glover will be the first black astronaut on one. They will join Reed Wiseman and Jeremy Hansen to fly a capsule around the moon late next year or early in 2025. The astronauts will not land on the moon, but their mission will pave the way for touchdown by a subsequent crew. The 3 US citizens and 1 Canadian were presented to the public in a ceremony in Houston, Texas. They will now begin a period of intense training to get themselves ready. The major difference this time will be the use of the 21st century technology that NASA has developed under its Artemis program. Last year, the agency tested its next generation moon rocket called the Space Launch System and its associated crew capsule known as Orion. Taking a look at news in Europe now, several people have been injured, some seriously, after a passenger train and a freight train collided in the western Netherlands. The incident happened in the village of Woeskotten at about 3:30 in local time on Tuesday. Emergency services and medics are now working on the scene, helping the injured. The passenger train derailed after the collision. Pictures from the scene showed overturned carriages and a plume of smoke rising in the night sky. Several ambulances are seen standing ready to transport the injured. Now on to a leading story in the foreign world. Former US President Donald Trump has been consulting lawyers at Trump Tower in New York City as he prepares to face a history-making criminal charges.
Extra security measures are in place with the authorities expecting protests outside the Manhattan court. Trump, 76, is the first ex-US president to face a criminal case. On Tuesday morning, dozens of police and court officers as well as the Secret Service agents are expected to escort Trump through the streets of New York to the Lower Manhattan Court complex. The charges he faces will be disclosed in full at the hearing, which is scheduled for around 2:15 local time. His lawyers have already said he will plead not guilty.
The Sri Lanka Air Force personnel engaged in a training program on search and rescue operations during time of disaster at sea. Now I'm bringing you the news from the news desk. I am Sandro Satyajit and I leave you with the footage of this program.
ඇත්ත කෙටියෙන් දත්ත වැඩියෙන් සයිබර් අවකාශයේ කළඹන වුවත් සලකුණ News First YouTube චැනලය අදම සබස්ක්‍රයිබ් කරන්න. News First ජනතාව සමග. News First News Alert ඔබේ ජංගම දුරකථනයටත් ඔබ ඩයිලොග් පාරිභෝගිකයෙක් නම් English Alert සේවාව ලබා ගැනීමට NFU ලෙසත් Singlish Alert සේවාව ලබා ගැනීමට NUS ලෙසත් Tanglish Alert සේවාව ලබා ගැනීමට NAT ලෙසත් ටයිප් කර 678ට සෙන්ඩ් කරන්න.